These 10 mistakes are the primary reason why most new chopper builders will never complete their first project and never take on a second one. And number 7 is super key, so do not skip that step. Avoiding these 10 mistakes are crucial to getting your first build and all your future builds over the finish line. I'm Grease, you're watching Grease's Garage, and I'm going to help you skip the struggle. Mistake number 1 is not investing in yourself. There's a lot that goes into building a chopper. You're going to need hand tools, you're going to need fabrication equipment, and you're going to need specialty tools for certain fasteners on the bike. The biggest mistake that I see new builders make is they don't want to invest in their chopper building future. Trust me, those specialty tools you buy, you will use them time and time again. That fabrication equipment that you might think is expensive now is pennies on the dollar compared to what it's going to cost you to pay a shop in labor to do all of the fabrication for you. So often what I see is people paying shop labor rates when they first get into chopper building, and then later, after they've spent thousands in labor costs, they end up buying the equipment anyway. So you can skip that step and invest in yourself from the get-go. Even if you don't know how to use the equipment, believe me, you will learn how to use the equipment. To give you a quick story of mine, I remember being so torn on whether or not to spend $400 on a frame jig when I got started, thinking I was only going to use it once and I might as well just pay a shop to weld my hardtail on. Fast forward 7 years later, that frame jig has paid me thousands and thousands of dollars as I have welded hardtail after hardtail after hardtail for customer after customer. None of that was in the plan from the beginning. I share that story with you not as a brag, but as a reminder that you can do the same thing. And if you end up being the only person in your area who's willing to make those investments, you're going to be able to help a lot of people out in the future, and it's going to get you much, much deeper and more involved in the chopper culture. Mistake number 2 is choosing the wrong bike for your first build. I've said this before and I will say it again. It is so much easier to get into this if you choose a platform that has a following. I know we all want to chop whatever bike we happen to have, but I promise you, when it becomes difficult to find parts and difficult to find conversion kits to make parts fit, you're going to wish that you went with something a little simpler for your first build. After that, if you want to get into some crazy, different, extravagant bikes, that's fine. But make your first build something with a clearly defined path so that you actually get to the destination you're looking to get to. If you're more interested in this topic and what specific bikes I recommend, click on this video right here. I will also put a link down below in the description box to it. I did an entire video dedicated to best first bikes for your first chopper build. So go check that video out after you're done watching this video. Mistake number 3 is not completing your baseline testing before you tear the bike apart. Now, what do I mean by baseline testing? Super easy, 4 things to test that will make sure you don't have to tear your bike apart after you thought you were done with your build. The 4 tests are battery, stator, coil, and compression. The reason we do these tests now in the beginning is because if you need to replace one of these parts, better to replace it while the bike is taken apart on your lift than to find out on the day you're about to go on your first ride that you need to do a whole top end job and you got to pull the motor back out of the frame. Trust me, you don't want to go through that heartbreak. Battery, stator, coil, and compression. Test all 4 of them right now before you start the teardown. Mistake number 4 is not doing your homework. We've all heard this before, but how does it apply to motorcycles? Well, bikes change over the years. To take my bike, for example, I have a 1994 Evo Big Twin. Now, there are things that changed about the Evo Big Twin motor from the start of its life to the end of its life. For example, on the 1994, it is what's known as a head breather motor, which means the breather bolts are up at the top of the motor by the carburetor. Previous years of this bike had those breather bolts down at the bottom. They were called bottom breathing motors. There are certain parts that are going to fit my motor that won't fit the older versions of that motor and vice versa. And this is just one specific example of changes that were made to the motors. Another example is timing marks. The advanced timing mark that I use on my 94 is going to be different in previous years. You have to look through the owner's manual of your specific bike. One of the biggest mistakes I see new builders make is they don't do their homework and they don't buy that manual that's going to allow them to figure out what changed, what fits, and what doesn't. Doing that homework is your responsibility because it's your bike. Nobody else is going to be able to walk you through exactly what your bike needs. So take it upon yourself, do the research, be interested in the model of bike and the year of bike that you have so that you don't waste your time and your money buying stuff that was never meant to fit on your motor. Mistake number 5, unrealistic financial expectations. I know, we all think that we're going to put together that killer build on a budget, but trust me, the overwhelming majority of new builders do not understand how much it will cost to get their first build done. Fortunately for you, I did an entire video on exactly what it costs to build my bike, the bike you see on this channel. So you can click this link right here to see exactly what I spent putting together that bike, and then you can compare what you have planned for your build to what I did on my build and get a pretty good estimate of what it's going to cost for your first build. But on the whole, expect it to cost thousands, multiple thousands of dollars to get that build over the finish line. Do not go into this thinking that you are going to save a bunch of money, because I can almost guarantee you that is not going to be the case. Now, don't mistake that as me saying don't build the chopper. You should build it because it's cool. You should build it because choppers are fun. You should build it because choppers are different and unique, but you should not build them if you think you're going to save money. Mistake number 6 is a mistake that I made on my first build, and I was kicking myself for because it would have gone so much smoother if I had avoided this mistake, and that is to not ask for help. I wanted to do everything on that build. I wanted to do the paint. I wanted to do the motor. I wanted to do the frame. I got so obsessed with wanting to be the guy that built it all that what it ended up doing was A, making me take way, way longer with the build than it needed to take, and B, I missed out on a lot of connections and friends that I could have made along the way. Going to chopper shows will introduce you to other people that are interested in choppers and are probably further along in their journey than you are. And these people can be an amazing resource to lean on for help with your first build. People who are further along in that chopper building journey know what it's like to be in your shoes, and so many of them are willing to help if you ask, but you have to be the one to ask. These people are not going to pull you aside and say, hey, I know you're building a chopper, what can I do for you? But if you approach these people at shows or you go on a forum and they happen to be in your area, make the introduction, introduce yourself, tell them what you're struggling with, and work together on it. You might make a friend for life, and you'll certainly find somebody that can help get you through some of those struggles. And in addition to that, you can also send an email to yours truly at greasesgarage@gmail.com if you are having something you're struggling with, so that I can make a video on the topic to help you from a distance. That's what this channel is all about, getting 1,000 riders' builds over the finish line and helping them skip the struggle in the process. I'm here for you guys. The rest of the community in your area is here for you, so make sure you lean on your friends. Mistake number 7. This is the big one that I teased in the intro, and it is one of the biggest, if not the biggest mistake that I see new chopper builders make that ends up with their builds never getting finished. And that mistake is not having a plan. It is so important that even though you're in the beginning stages and looking at yourself as a beginner, you need to act like a person who plans to finish their project. And people who are serious about finishing projects make a plan. This is an important step that so few people do, and it could save you so much time and so much headache. But you might already know what I'm going to say here. Fortunately for you, I made a whole video, which I will put right here, on that topic, how to make a plan, what the steps of the plan are, and there's a link down below in the description where I have a custom PDF guide for you to physically print out, Put it up in your shop, and as you make your way along this plan, you can check off the steps and at a quick glance remember what all of those steps are. In case you couldn't tell, I am really trying my hardest to make this step as easy as possible for you to implement. So click the link down below, enter your email, print out the guide, make that plan for yourself, familiarize yourself with all the steps, and then you can save time and money and headache and frustration and all the other bad things that we try to avoid that keep us from finishing our projects. Mistake number 8, working out of order. Have you ever come to a step in your project that you just don't enjoy? You find it boring, you find it annoying, or you're really just not into it, so you skip it and you go on to the next step that you think is super fun. I see this all the time with new chopper builders. Perfect example. Maybe you have a shop that's pretty far away from you that does your tire mounting and balancing, and you really don't feel like driving over there right now. And besides, you've got a tire on your rim already, so you're just gonna mock up that fender with the tire you've got on there now, and you'll swap it later. And then later, when you get the new tire on, you find out the sidewall is a little bit higher and it no longer clears on the fender. So now you're cutting your fender back off and mounting it all over again because you had to work out of order. This is one of the most common mistakes, so you are not alone if you have made this mistake. I have also made this mistake many, many times. So learn from others, learn from me. Remember, working out of order or working with temporary parts or placeholder parts until the real part comes in very rarely ends well. I highly recommend that you do not try to work out of order. Even if you find a particular step boring or annoying, push through. Stay dedicated, stick to the plan, and work those steps in the proper order. Mistake number 9 is such an easy mistake to make, but you have to resist temptation, and that is taking on too many projects. We have all seen someone do this before, or maybe you watching this right now are the one who has done this before, where you're halfway through a build and then you're scrolling around on Marketplace and you see some killer low price on some other project bike that you think you'll just pick up for now, put to the side, and build that one later. Never in the history of choppers has that happened. The minute you buy that second project bike, you are going to disappear off of that first project. You have to resist this urge. The minute you find that deal, you need to close that browser, block yourself from accessing Marketplace, block yourself from getting on Craigslist, focus on what is in front of you. Because the fastest way to end up as the guy with 12 unfinished builds working on his 13th is to continuously buy project after project after project before you ever finish anything. Do not go down this road. Focus on what project is ahead of you. Focus on your plan. Focus on your next step. You cannot chase more than one rabbit at a time because you will end up catching none of them. Mistake number 10. If it's not the biggest mistake, it's at least the saddest mistake that new chopper builders make, and that is never getting started at all. If you ride choppers for more than a year, it would not be possible for you to not come across at least one person at a show or a gas station who tells you all about the chopper that they're going to build someday, but someday just never comes. And they never end up building that bike, and they talk about it their entire life. It is, like I said, probably the saddest mistake, and one of the mistakes that I, on this channel, am most focused on helping people avoid. I want this channel to be a resource for people who are new, who are not sure where to get started. That's why I'm making all of these videos that I'm telling you about and showing you links to, because there is so much information out there. Building a chopper in the modern era of information is so much easier than it used to be, and it really is more attainable than people think. If you only avoid one mistake in this top 10 list, let it be this one. Get started on that project. Don't keep kicking the can down the road. Don't keep overthinking it. Today is the day. Go find that project, buy that project, and start that project. And of course, perhaps most importantly, subscribe to Grease's Garage if you are watching this channel and that sounds like your situation. If you are just getting started and you don't have a mentor and you don't know who to ask, that's what I am here for. That's what this channel is all about. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of my future videos. And if you're looking for other builders to talk to, I have a Facebook group called Grease's Garage. Just type Grease's Garage into the search bar, find the group, answer the questions, and become a member of that group, because I'm just one guy with one bike. But the people in that group are fantastic at helping other people get the answers they need. That's what that group is all about, just like this channel. So join the Facebook group, subscribe, and make sure you check out this video right here, and I will catch you guys next week.